Hurricane Isaias is threatening parts of the Caribbean and the southern U.S. The storm is currently forecast to reach Florida's east coast Saturday. Governor Ron DeSantis has declared a state of emergency. The timing couldn't be worse. Florida has just set a record for COVID-19 deaths for a fourth straight day. Miami Beach Mayor Dan Gelber joins us live now via Skype. So, Florida reporting a record number of COVID deaths and now having to deal with this hurricane. How is the area preparing?
Well, we have been worried about a hurricane coming in the middle of this, so we actually have figured out ways to move people around in a way that's going to make sense. In my area, which is Miami-Dade County, South Florida, we think we're just going to get sideswiped by the hurricane. So there's not even an evacuation order in my city or in the county at this point.
So overall, though, just in terms of how the local Florida economy is dealing with COVID, just walk us through with so many areas shut down, with people's livelihoods at stake. How is the area coping?
Not well at this point. Certainly in the short term, this is having a very deep impact on our economy. I mean, you know, look, hospitality industry is one of, if not our biggest sector, and it certainly is in my city. And so that's a crowd-based economy. That's a gathering-based economy. So it's hard when you're relying on airplane traffic and cruise traffic and just people coming here to come into hotels. We've reduced capacity in our hotels. We've closed our beautiful restaurants inside so you can only eat outside. We've limited our retail to a smaller percentage. Our promenades are still attracting so many people, in fact, that we have a 10 p.m. curfew throughout the city as well. So, you know, we really do realize that we are not the kind of economy that's going to do well in this kind of pandemic.
So what needs to change going forward to ensure that fewer lives are lost during this pandemic?
Well, our county alone had today, Department of Health of the state reported nearly 100 deaths. We are getting the bulk of everything in Miami-Dade County. There are 67 counties in Florida. I think what we have to do, first of all, is the virus is at a very high level. We're getting 2,500 to 3,000 new cases a day, huge numbers of deaths every day. We've got to get the percentage of positives, which is about 20%, down to well below 10%. So people have to wear masks. They have to do all the things that everybody says they have to do, and they have to do it conscientiously. Most of the local leaders are wary of another shelter-in-place order, but it may be necessary if we cannot get this thing below 10%.
So, and just in terms of people adhering to the warnings, obviously there are parts of Florida that are in fear right now because of the hurricane that's on its way. But just in terms of people adhering to the notion of wearing masks and social distancing, what are you seeing there as mayor?
Well, my residents do a very good job. We have a $50 fine, by the way, if you fail to wear a mask outside or anywhere where you're supposed to. But there are not nearly enough people doing it. Unfortunately, our president, President Trump, has tried to make it somehow a political issue. So people still, I hear, don't want to wear it because they think it's somehow an infringement on their freedom, which is a very selfish and wrong-headed view. Our governor has not done much better. He refuses to issue a statewide mask order, which would clearly send a message that to the people, certainly, that care deeply about what he has to say, that they ought to be doing it. So we've suffered from mixed messages and a lack of urgency coming from the top. Local leaders, mayors like myself, and commissions, we get it because we're trying very hard to cajole people into following directions.
The idea of wearing a mask in certain parts of this country has certainly been majorly politicized. How do you get around that? How do you educate people that this is not a political issue, but it's a matter of life and death, really?
Well, through repetition, through explanation, and by example, which is why, you know, when the president doesn't want to wear a mask, it's not great. It doesn't help tell everybody else they have to. Listen, it's a cultural thing to a certain extent. Some countries, people are accustomed to doing it, or they don't think it's a big thing. For here in our country, for some reason, people seem to draw upon a political statement for it, like it's an infringement of their rights. I try to tell people it's a very patriotic thing to do. We have people who make sacrifices all the time, much greater sacrifices of their lives even, for their fellow neighbors. So to just simply ask them to do this small thing for a friend, a loved one, or someone they don't even know seems to be a little thing they can do. So I think I don't want to offend anybody. I think it's a very American thing to do, to make those kind of sacrifices.
So just in terms of going forward, though, I mean, how hopeful are you that, without another sort of complete shutdown, that places like Florida can get this thing under control?
I'm not hopeful, to be very honest with you, because we're at almost 20%. We're just under 20% positivity, and we moved probably to 19 or 18 and a half in the last few weeks. But I don't see how we get to 10% in less than 2 months unless we do something dramatic or people get a little bit more careful about it. Perhaps the number of deaths, unfortunately, will shake people into doing the right thing, or we may have to do a shelter in place for a small period of time just to get people focused on this. Because, frankly, this level of positivity of virus, and this level of infection on a daily basis, 3,000 in just our county, these number of deaths, almost 100 in just our county, are way too much to tolerate. So I think if we don't get this down soon, we'll take more drastic action and hopefully drive it down.
Yeah, time is a factor. The pressure is on. Dan Gelber, live for us. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.